I've been called a lot of things. Sweet, reliable, too nice for my own good. But the one that always sticks, always stings, is just a caregiver. Like what I do is small, like sitting beside someone's grandmother as they forget their own name isn't a kind of love. Like feeding, bathing, reading bedtime poems to a woman who's dying is somehow less than signing business deals in heels. But I love my job. I love people. I love helping them feel human even at the edge of it all. Still, I'd be lying if I said it didn't wear me down sometimes, especially when I go home to my family and realize I'm the only one who sees value in what I do. Min's sister, Elena Park, is the star. Always has been. She's 32, brilliant, beautiful, with a resume that reads like a Forbes feature. She works in fintech and has a fiancé named Luke who drives a Mercedes and calls me Van, like we've known each other for years. We haven't had family dinners. Elena is the one everyone orbits around. Her latest promotion, her wine preferences, her Pilates regimen. I get asked polite things like, "So are you still doing that nurse stuff?" Or "That must be emotionally draining, dear." It doesn't matter how many times I say I'm a caregiver, not a nurse. It doesn't matter that I'm proud of what I do. To them, it's a phase I forgot to outgrow. Years ago, when Elena hit a rough patch after a failed startup and some serious credit card debt, it was me, the soft-hearted one, who helped our grandfather organize a trust fund for her future stability. What no one in the family talks about is that he made me trustee, said I was the responsible one. Elena didn't even ask how it worked. She just assumed I'd take care of it, and I did. I made sure she always had enough to cover rent when she moved to New York. I approved payments for grad school when she changed careers. I said yes when she asked for a lump sum to buy into a co-working space. She never said thank you, but she always smiled like she expected it. Still, I never minded until this year. Thanksgiving has always been my favorite. Not for the food or the formalities, but for the ritual. The same mismatched dishes, the same bad jokes from our uncle, the smell of rosemary and sweet potato filling the house like a memory I could eat. I looked forward to it this year more than usual. Work had been heavy. One of my long-time clients passed and the apartment felt unusually quiet. I wanted noise, laughter, even small talk. So when my phone buzzed on Monday afternoon and I saw Elena's name, I smiled instinctively. Elena. "Hey, Vanessa. With Luke's parents coming, we're trying to keep things formal. Maybe it's best if you sit this year out." I blinked at the screen. Then another message came through. "Elena. It's nothing personal. You know I love you. You're just not quite a match for this crowd." Not quite a match. I sat on the bus holding my phone like it had bitten me around me. Traffic moved. The world kept spinning, but I felt still not angry. Not yet just small. The way I used to feel in high school when I wore hand-me-downs and stood beside Elena at school pickup. She always looked like she belonged in a movie. I looked like someone waiting to be edited out. I didn't respond, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew she wouldn't hear it. Instead, I opened my calendar and deleted the Thanksgiving reminder. I went back to work. Changed bed linens, cooked soup for Mrs. Addison, held her hand when her hands wouldn't stop shaking, and that night when I got home, I opened the portal to Elena's trust account. $92,000 remained. I didn't touch anything. I just stared. Thanksgiving used to smell like cinnamon and gravy and my mom's terrible attempt at cranberry sauce. This year, it smelled like reheated lasagna and microwave pie. I sat at my kitchen counter, still in scrubs from my half shift that morning. A single candle flickered next to a paper plate. My attempt at pretending this was still a holiday. It wasn't. My phone sat face down for most of the evening. I didn't want to see the pictures, the captions, the endless parade of polished smiles pretending to be warmth, but I looked anyway. And there it was. Ellena's Instagram story. Photo 1. The dining table perfectly set. Gold cutlery, wine glasses, roasted turkey on a wooden board that probably cost more than my monthly groceries. Photo 2. Our parents' arms around Elena and Luke, all grinning like it was the cover of a holiday catalog. Photo 3. A selfie. Elena in a silk blouse, chin tilted up, Luke's arm around her waist. The caption read, Grateful for those who inspire me to rise higher every day. I stared at that line for so long, my vision blurred. No mention of me, no seat left open. No, we miss you, Vanessa, in the corner of a frame. Just a perfect evening, perfectly staged without me. And the worst part, no one asked where I was, not even Mom. The microwave beeped behind me. I didn't move. I just sat there, letting the food go cold. I thought about last year when Elena forgot to pay her rent on time and called me crying at 2:00 a.m. I wired her money before I even asked what happened, or the time she needed to take a mental health sabbatical from work after her breakup. And I approved 3 months of trust fund disbursements without hesitation, or the time she wanted to go to Bali for healing. And I covered the flight and half the resort, because she said it would change her life. It changed nothing. She came back the same polished, entitled, and still blind to the person who made her lifestyle possible. I opened my laptop and logged into the trust fund portal. It wasn't something I did often, only when Elena asked for something specific. She never really thanked me. She just assumed it would be handled. Balance $92,000. All of it untouched since her last payout 3 months ago. I hovered over the tab marked Access Settings. Clicked. A prompt appeared on screen. Remove beneficiary. Access. My fingers trembled over the mouse. My heartbeat kicked up, not from anger, but from something colder. Something quieter, like a tide pulling back before a storm. I imagined her reaction, the confusion, the outrage. But most of all, I thought about the silence, the kind that had wrapped itself around my name at that dinner table like I'd never existed. She didn't ask about me. She didn't check if I was okay because she didn't think I mattered. Just a caregiver. Just the girl in the background, always giving, always quiet. I didn't click, not yet. I closed the laptop and sat back. My voice was barely above a whisper, but the words came out clear. Maybe I'm not invited to the table, but I still hold the keys. And this time I wasn't afraid to use them. I didn't expect the fallout to come so quickly. Just 6 days after Thanksgiving, I got the first text. Elena. Hey, something's wrong with the account. Did you mess something up? I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. The last time she messaged me was to uninvite me from a family dinner. No apology, no check-in, just straight to business. I didn't respond. A minute later, another ping. Elena, actually forget it. Can you fix it now? We're on a tight schedule. That was more like her, the mask slipping. She still thought I was just the quiet little sister with nothing better to do but fix her life. I left the message unread. I was in the break room at work, sipping a cup of tea, folding laundry for one of my clients. I finished that before even looking at her texts again. That felt good. Then the call came. I didn't need to check the name. I knew the ringtone. Mom. I answered after the third ring. Vanessa. She began, voice laced with the kind of soft urgency she only used when she wanted something. Your sister is really upset. She'll be okay, I said lightly. She said the trust account isn't working. There's a payment she has to make for the wedding venue and it's blocked or something. I said, walking to the window and watching the early December wind scatter dry leaves across the sidewalk. Did you do something to it? Mom asked. I smiled. There it was, the assumption that I must have made a mistake. I didn't do anything to it, I replied. I simply took a step back. She was quiet. Then, sweetheart Elena's in a tight spot. Can you please fix this? Just help her out. You always do. I took a breath. She said I wasn't a good fit for her world, I said, keeping my tone even. I'm just giving her the space she asked for. Vanessa. She sighed. Don't be dramatic. I didn't answer that because I wasn't being dramatic. I was being honest for once. That night I logged back into the fund's management portal. I'd been thinking about it all day, weighing every angle. I didn't want revenge. I wasn't out to ruin Elena. Just didn't want to carry her anymore. I navigated to the account settings and initiated a transfer reassigned trustee duties from myself to a legal firm I'd researched earlier that week. They handled wealth management neutrally, professionally. No emotional ties, no guilt, just policies and procedure. There was a small form, a digital signature, one last click, and it was done. I would no longer be her personal safety net. No more late-night fund requests. No more help me just this once. No more pulling strings behind the scenes. While being pushed to the side, the new firm would administer the fund by the book, meaning no disbursement without full documentation, justification, and approval. Which meant Elena was going to have to explain a few things in writing to strangers. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. Eleanor, Vanessa. What the hell is going on? I just got off the phone with the trust company, and they said you stepped down. They said I need to file a request to get my own money. Fix this now. I muted the conversation. No reply, no explanation. I'd said everything I needed to already with a single silent choice. For once, I wasn't the background character in someone else's story. For once, the person holding the power was me. I was halfway through folding linens in the staff lounge when I heard the door swing open. Too fast, too loud. Eleanor, I said instinctively, turning. She stood there in a fitted blazer, heels too high for this linoleum floor hair pinned back like she was walking into a boardroom, not a caregiver center. Her eyes locked on me, and I saw it. Panic disguised as anger. "You need to fix this," she snapped. Now behind her, a few of my co-workers peeked around corners. We weren't used to drama here. At worst, someone raised their voice. Over bingo. I calmly set the towels down. "What are you doing here? You're ruining everything." She hissed, stepping closer. "Do you even realize what you've done? The venue canceled our reservation. The caterer wants deposits. We can't send." I had to explain to Luke's parents why we suddenly don't have a budget. I didn't ruin anything. I said, I just stopped protecting you. She blinked. I continued, keeping my tone flat. "I worked 2 jobs to make sure you never had to. I took care of your fund, paid your bills when you weren't looking, filled in the blanks so your perfect little world never cracked." Her face flushed red. "I never asked you to. No, you just expected me to." She opened her mouth to argue, then faltered. I stepped closer, finally letting the words leave me. Words I'd swallowed for years. "Do you remember when you called me just a caregiver? When you told me I didn't belong at Thanksgiving because I wouldn't match the vibe?" Her mouth tightened. She didn't deny it. "Why didn't you just tell me you were upset?" she said, suddenly softer, like the wind had dropped out of her voice. I stared at her for a long moment. "Because every time I spoke, you were already talking." The room went still. Elena's shoulders dropped slightly. The armor cracked. "I didn't mean to make you feel small," she whispered. "I didn't flinch." "You didn't make me feel small," I said, voice steady. "You just never saw how big I already was." For a second, neither of us said anything. We stood in the silence, not as perfect sister and flawed sister, but as 2 women finally face to face. Behind me, I heard the microwave ding. In another room, someone coughed. Life moved on. "I thought I was helping you," she said quietly. "And I thought you cared," I replied. She didn't cry, Elena. Never cries, but her hands trembled just enough that I noticed. "I'll work it out with the legal firm," she murmured, almost to herself. "You'll have to," I said gently. "They won't give you special treatment." She nodded, eyes cast downward. For the first time, she looked like someone navigating the world without a safety net. And I felt lighter. Not because I'd won, but because I'd stopped pretending I hadn't lost something too. She turned to go, pausing at the door. "Vanessa," she said without looking back. "I never wanted to hurt you." "I know," I said, "but you still did." She left, and this time I didn't follow. It's amazing what a folding table, mismatched chairs, and a little bit of warmth can do. 2 weeks after the confrontation, I hosted my own version of Thanksgiving. A little late on the calendar, but right on time for my heart. No fancy wine glasses, no silk napkins, just the people who saw me, really saw me. Mrs. Addison's daughter brought homemade apple pie. Darlene, one of my co-workers, showed up with sweet potatoes and zero judgment. My neighbor James, who once fixed my leaky faucet at midnight, came with a laugh big enough to fill the whole apartment. There were 7 of us in total. Some had lost family. Some had been forgotten by them. Some, like me, had simply chosen not to chase invitations that came with conditions. We ate. We told stories. We laughed so hard the pie shook. Before dinner, I'd set out place cards I wrote by hand, names carefully printed, a quiet gesture, something Elena would have considered too sentimental, too much, but for me, it felt just right. About halfway through the night, I slipped into the kitchen to grab more water. And that's when I saw it. A letter, propped against my apartment door, slid underneath the mat like an offering. It was Elena's handwriting. I stared at it for a moment, hands warm from holding the pitcher, heart suddenly colder than the air. I brought it inside. Didn't open it right away. Let it sit beside the bread rolls while conversation swirled around me. Later, after everyone had gone and the dishes were soaking in the sink, I curled up on the couch legs tucked under me and opened the envelope. Vanessa. I've spent a lot of time thinking, probably more than I ever have. I confused value with image. I thought worth came from Polish, from performance. But the truth is, you were giving me more than I ever earned. You were holding my world together, and I didn't even look at the hands doing the holding. I'm sorry. Not just for the dinner, for all of it. For being blind, for making you small so I could feel bigger. You deserved more than silence. I hope someday you'll let me try again. Not as someone who needs saving, but as a sister who wants to see you. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully, placed it in the back of my bookshelf, not thrown away, not put on display, just kept. Because sometimes closure doesn't come in grand gestures. It comes in quiet apologies and the choice to hold peace, not power. The next morning I posted a photo. The table was still set. Empty plates, smudged glasses, napkins folded into little triangles. Nothing glamorous, just honest. I typed the caption slowly. I may be just a caregiver, but I've cared better than most ever could. No hashtags, no tags. No need. It was never about being seen by many. It was about being known by few and finally knowing myself. I didn't need their table anymore. I'd built my own.